proceed with the topic of growth. My name is Mr. Moya, and today's program is to look on the other part of the growth, which is growth and development in a flowering plant. In the previous sections, we have seen the introduction of growth, mitosis and growth, and actually we ended looking at the growth and development in a human being. So now we are adding to the last part on flowering plants, how the growth takes place in flowering plants. By introduction, or by the way, flowering plants, as like in animals, the growth, it starts with a zygote into an embryo. Of course, here we don't have something like a pregnancy, like it is happening in the animal. But remember also the topic of reproduction. We have seen reproduction in plants, and you are aware, you've got an idea what is happening in the flower during the reproduction, the reproductive part of the flower, female part and the male part, and the fertilization process which takes place to formation of the seeds, eventually the fruit, and something like that. So by considering the same concept now, refer back to here what we are going to discuss. So the formation of the zygote and eventually to the embryo. In most of the flowering plants, actually growth is started when the seed begin to germinate. The growth is starting from the germination of the seed. Now, what is the germination? Seed germination, we say that the development of the seed into seedling. The changes of the seed to form the seedlings of the young plant. Actually, the changes which takes place during the seed germination, for the germination to take place, the following changes should be adhered. The seed absorbs the water through the small opening known as the macropyle, and then it enlarges. When the seed absorbs the water, that means the water starts now to dissolve the chemical, the nutrients which are found in the seed, the embryo, which is stored there, and therefore the seed now, when the nutrients are dissolved, the enzymes are activated, so the process takes place there, which actually lead to the respiration and actually the release of energy. That energy will let the embryo now to start to form the radicle and plumule that will enlarge or will rise to give up mature roots and the shoots respectively. The plumule emerge at the stage, and the young plant is called seedling. Actually, when we talk about these structures known as radicle, we shall see to the diagram. A radicle is the one which develop into roots, and plumule the one or the part of the seed what will develop into the shoot to form roots, to form the leaves. The diagram there on the board, you can see that is the diagram of the seed to show the part that have been explaining. The embryo to contain the seed, but it is covered by the structure known as the seed coat, or quality tester, the other language. And in the embryo, it has got the cotyledon. Cotyledon is the place which is stored food. There's an epicotyle that will develop later on into a plumule, with hypocotyle that will develop into a radicle actually, and the seed coat. And the endosperm is the food storage part of the seed. Now, after the seed has started to germinate, this is how it appears. We have hypocotyle and epicotyle. And hypocotyle, the part which goes backward, and the radicle, which will lead to development of the root, and epicotyle that will develop into the shoot. And there is a cotyledon, which is the part which is actually the store food. So this is the appearance of the seed, or the structure of the seed, and this is in cross section of the maize seed to show those parts how they look like. Again, Now, the process that I was talking about is the process of the series of the seed germination. As you can see from the beginning there, the seed split out after it absorbed the water. It have dissolved food nutrient found inside. The respiration takes place to release the energy, and that energy makes the embryo to develop into the tester. Develop into plumule and radicle. So the seed burst, and the radicle emerge, which develop. Which emerge downwards, and plumule that goes upwards. And to get to the second series, where the epicotyle elongate and epicotyle go on forming the roots downwards. And the other series, you can see the change there now. The plumule has developed, and the leaves have started to be formed. And actually, they are down. The shoot, the radicle has formed a lot of roots, which actually go on absorbing water. And this is a mature seedling at 11th day, where there's a roots actually is visible, the taproot. So the shoot has now has been categorized into the leaves there. There's a remain of cotyledon still there. Cotyledon stalk, and the epicotyle, which is part of the leaf, and the cotyledon. So these are a series of changes which occurs, for example, in the bean seed. From the first day up to 11th day, it appear like these changes. So those are series of changes which takes place during the seed germination. And okay, from the series of changes which we have seen, let us see this video, and you can see how the change or the growth takes place. You see there, the seed now starts to germinate, and radicle emerge from the down, and the plumule goes upward. You see the roots go there, and the plumule make up the ground, where the roots they are growing out downwards, and eventually you see the shoots are forming. The roots are formed there, the made of the radicals, and the plants are enjoying the light there. So you can find how the shoots are still growing, moving, and this is it for plants which are called dendrites. They are moving something like that. So the growth is proceeding, they go on, the plant is going on growing, and do something that way. So that would simply to see how the growth takes place from the experience from the video that we have seen. Okay, so let us come back to our concern. After we have seen that series, let's see the germination is still having germination. Germination now can be, or it is divided into types or some types. We have one of the type of germination known as the epigynous germination. What is this? From the definition, epigynous germination refers to the region in which cotyledon emerge above the ground. We have seen in the video, or from that series of the changes, that when the seed germinate, the cotyledon or many cotyledon also emerge above the ground. But we have some plants which doesn't show like that. So when the plant germinate and the cotyledon or many of the seed emerge with the plumule above the ground, that kind of germination is epigynous germination. The hypocotyle, it elongates first, and the plumule and the cotyledon altogether, it come above the soil. The seed showing epigynous germination, they generally upper they've got a small cotyledon which actually export above the ground, and the flower, the leaves, which is greenish in color, that elongate firstly for chlorophyll to start, and photosynthesis takes place. And such kind of the seed include sunflower, beans, coconut, groundnuts, and all these they got this kind of germination. Actually, most of dicot plants, they've got this type of germination. The second type is known as hypogenic germination. This is the opposite of epigenic germination. In a hypogenic germination, actual set the cotyledon will remain underground. It doesn't appear at the top. In hypogenic germination, epicotyle elongates first and the plumule is pushed downward, upward of the ground, but cotyledon will remain underneath. The seed which are having this behavior, most of the cases they reserve their food in the cotyledon, and therefore it remains under the ground to still feeding the plant. This it can be shown by plants such as cereals. Most of cereals, they've got this behavior, including maize, wheat, rice. All these seeds have got that here of hypogenic germination. And actually, it's most of the monocot plants they exhibit this type of germination. By looking at the diagram, there's the epigenic germination there and the hypogenic germination. And you can see in the epigenic germination that the cotyledon appear above the ground. As you can see, the remain of the cotyledon, it is above, together with the leaves. And while the hypogenic germination, you see the other diagram here, it shows hypogenic germination. The seedling has grown up and the cotyledon has remained underground. So the two diagrams, they differentiate between epigenic germination and the hypogenic germination, how it happened. And you can witness this type from the beans plant, and you can witness this type of germination from the maize plant. So these are two diagrams that show epigenic germination and hypogenic germination. And on your own time, you can do this by performing simple demonstration of germinating the seed from the maize grain and the the beans seed. You can do it on your own at the laboratory or at home, and you see the changes, or you watch out what is happening, all the changes which takes place, the appearance of the seed in this structure, how they look like. Okay, so for germination to take place, there should be some conditions to be met, and this is what condition necessary for germination. One of the conditions is water. It is a very important water, as it is a medium for dissolving different substances in the seed. It is a medium for enzymes to break down stored food, so that it will allow the respiration to take place for generation of energy. As you remember, that water is a universal solvent. It dissolves different substances. So when water is absorbed by the seed through the micropyle, it enters at the endosperm where food is stored, and therefore dissolve enzymes. Dissolve the chemical substance which make that food, and therefore to allow enzymic reaction to take place. It hydrolyzes the food substance into the glucose, as I said. It is for transport of material between the cell to where they are used for source of energy, that is for respiration. It is often the seed or silicon of the tester, so that it ruptures easily for the emergence of the cotyledon, the plumule to go upward and the radicle to go downward. Another condition is the air, or oxygen. Remember, oxygen is a gas which comprises the air. Now, what necessity of the oxygen? It is normally known that oxygen plays part in the respiration for burning of food to release energy. So when the seed before it is germinated, it requires energy for the physiological process to take place. That energy is generated from the respiration process. And the respiration, it takes place in the presence of oxygen. So oxygen is necessary to allow respiration to take place, to generate energy that will make it possible for the plant to germinate. Again, the second part of water and air is contaminated with the soil, so these conditions all together, they will assist the seed to to germinate, as I explained. Another condition is the temperature. Temperature is necessary for the germination to take place, and here we refer to the optimum temperature. There is a particular range of temperature which is required for a particular seed to germinate. Not extremely high temperature, not extremely low temperature. There is an optimum temperature that is specific for a particular plant to germinate. For instance, most of the crops, it is thrive well or to germinate on the temperature between 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. On your own time, you guys, because we're doing math, physics, sometimes we can change Fahrenheit to centigrade degrees Celsius system to understand this. So, but for some, the exception which is applied that the temperature can be higher than this or lower than this. And so that the temperature over 68 Fahrenheit, well, pepper plant, for instance, and the eggplant, they prefer warm temperature around 80 degree Fahrenheit. So you can see that there's a variation between one variety of the plant and the other one, which they need higher temperature than the other, and some they need lower. But however, the range is in that particular range. Temperature, it is found in the soil. If the soil is too cold or too hot, actually the seed is affected, it is spoiled, and therefore you have to check the temperature on the soil at that moment. It is not required. That's why we plant always during the rain season, because water, they cool the soil so that the temperature in the soil become conducive for the seed to germinate. Okay. Another condition is the light. Light is also necessary for them to germinate, as it affects seed to different plants. Some of the seeds need light for germination, while some that don't need it. There's a dark plant and a light plant for that case. Most of the weed species of the flowers and the herbs, they prefer darkness, while the planted, they need light. There's a plant actually you can find that they grow well during the night or during the dark, while some they grow well during the light. And most of the modern vegetables and crops, for example, they prefer they prefer to be planted in shallow or allow the amount of light to filter into the soil. So those are 4 conditions necessary for seed to germinate: that we have temperature or room temperature, water, oxygen, and light. Now, to end up or to approach it to the end of this part, we have this concept of meristem. What are the meristem? Meristem is a region of a plant where growth and development takes place. We have seen from the diagram that I will show you just soon that when the plumule grow upwards and the radicle grow downwards, there's a tip of the plumule and the tip of the radicle, or the shoot and the root. Those regions, they've got special tissues, and those tissues, those special cells which divide, and they are known as meristem cells. So, meristem, as I said, that they are located at the tip of the shoot and the tip of the roots. They are region of active cell division and cell allocation, where the growth takes place. Hence, there's an increase of the size of the shoot going upward, and there's an increase of the cell of the root going downwards. So to the region where there is a cell division, allocation, and cell differentiation. All these 3 cell processes, they lead to growth, that is increase of the size, length, and width of the plant. Now these meristems, or these tissues, they are divided into 3 parts or 3 types. We call it apical meristem. What are these meristem? We have lateral meristems, and we have auxiliary meristems. Now our concern is to look at each type of meristem. What is the apical meristem, what is the lateral meristem, and what is the auxiliary meristem. Apical meristems, these are the region of the cell division which bring about the length and height of the root and the shoot. They are found at the apex part of the plant, at the tip of the root and at the tip of the shoot. So these tissues, these cells actually, they divide to increase in the length of the particular part of the plant so that the shoot grow upwards and the root grow downwards. Well, the second meristem, or the second category of meristem, that called lateral meristem, these are the meristematic tissue which they lead to increase in width. They actually found on the side, width of the plant. The division of these meristem, they make the plant to increase in width. In plants like cotyledon, they've got this special tissue known as the cambium, and this cambium will divide to form a new ring, and they form annual ring. For example, if you cut the plant in the cross section and you look at the middle, you'll find there's rings which are formed. Those rings which are formed are the result of the cambium division, which led to formation of the new rings. And actually, when you want to know the age of the plant, you count these rings, and you'll find that you'll come to realize that this plant has lived for 40 years or 120, something like that. So each year there's a new ring which is formed due to division of the cambium, and it is divided once a year. So that we call the annual ring. And last is auxiliary meristem, which give formation of the branches. It is found on the nodes, the node between the shoot and the flower. The shoot and the leaf. There, the middle is pointed at the node, or the internode. So when the meristem, meristematic tissues divide on those nodes, they reach, they create a formation of the branch. Actually, so the branching of the plant, it will depend on how active these meristematic tissue, those auxiliary meristematic tissues they are. As much as they divide very fast or very quickly, as more branches are formed. Okay, and another concept before we end up is this one, the seed dormancy. The seed dormancy, this concept, it refers to the inhibition of the growth of an organism or part of it. Remember, the plant, when they mature, they produce the seeds or the fruits which inhibit the seed site. When you harvest the seed and you keep it in the store, for example, people they've got storage for their maize, there's a storage of beans, all the other cereals or whatever, you keep it. They are still there living. They are still alive. By that time when they are staying there, if it is some months or some years, there was that seed is in the dormancy stage. The time when you plant it and you apply those conditions necessary for germination, light, water, temperature, and oxygen, then it will germinate. So the period when the seed is in the active, it is in the dormant stage, that is what is seed dormancy. So, in some variable seed to be dormant, that means the time of rest. So for variable seed, will not germinate even when it's supplied with those conditions necessary for germination. It is the only period when used in the activity. It is only will germinate when the seed is broken its seed dormancy. Now, the factor which brings about the seed dormancy, why the seed become at dormant stage? There's a state of nature of the tester. Some seeds they've got a tester which is impermeable to oxygen and water. That it is very hard to allow water and oxygen to pass through so that they can initiate the process of physiological changes of respiration. And therefore, these seeds which are impermeable, it is very difficult to germinate. The tester may also be hard to prevent the radical and embryo to emerge. Another cause is the presence of certain chemicals. If there is a certain chemicals which is contaminated with the seed, then the seed becomes dormant, that it cannot germinate. The chemicals which remove to be removed. For instance, the seed of tomatoes, they cannot germinate if they are contaminated with the juice. It's juice. It is only when you remove the seeds from the fruit and you dry it. By drying, that means you're removing those chemicals. I mean, the chemical which contain that juice, and it is only that which is possible to germinate. Otherwise, if you take the fresh tomato and you plant it, it will never germinate, because the chemicals which contain that juice, it is the inhibitor for the germination. So, presence of chemicals such as, like I mentioned, it can inhibit the germination. After ripening, another factor, what it is, that some seeds, they cannot germinate immediately after harvesting. You have to keep it for a while, and it is a time when the embryo continue to complete maturity. Soon after harvesting, some of the seeds, the embryo are not yet developed. So when you plant it, it cannot germinate. So that is after harvesting. That planting the seed soon after harvesting, it can have such a limiting factor. So it needs to be kept for some time to finish its maturity. And such days have to be stored for some while, as I said before, and that's the time when the embryo will continue to develop fully, and this time is known as after ripening. Okay, ways of breaking the food seed dormancy. How you can remove the dormancy is to provide water. You provide the air, that is inside the air, you get oxygen. You provide a suitable temperature, and to ensure the seed embryo is mature. When that conditions are applied, then the dormancy is broken down, and the seed now can germinate. Importance of the seed dormancy. The seed has to undergo dormant stage, and it is very important for survival value, in such a way that as the time of unfavorable condition, when the seed is a dormant stage that it cannot germinate, so it is continue to survive. When the favorable condition set in, then the seed germinate. It is very obvious. You can see when during the dry season, some grasses that are not germinating, but the seed are still underground at dormant stage. It is when the rain comes in, then you find the seeds are germinating. So during the unfavorable condition, the seeds cannot germinate to avoid undergoing perishing. So it is important that way. Also, it is important for that at the same time such condition seed will be perish. The food also, it is part of keeping the food for food storage, because we keep the cereals in the store, and actually we use them as a food source during the time when we have no new plants. Seed dormant to help also an organism to withstand the unfavorable conditions, as I said before, such as cold and drought, shortage of water, etc. And it allows time for dispersal of seed agents such as water and wind. Seed availability, we are well here. How we say that seed is viable, or the seed availability? It retains capability of the seed to seed availability. It is the ability, or it is the capability of the seed to germinate, and the seed which is able to germinate, we call that this seed is viable. Factors which affect the viability of the seed, why the seed cannot germinate or it cannot be viable. It is the seed maturity. Seed cannot germinate if the seed hasn't been mature. As I said before, that when the embryo is not matured, you harvested before the embryo has fully developed, that seed actually it cannot be viable. It will be immature. Environmental condition. When the seed is actually faced with the environmental condition, for example, the very cold condition or very hot condition, very dry condition, those things cannot make seed to germinate. So another condition is the nature of the tester. As I feel that some testers are so hard to inhibit the divination, and therefore they need to be broken much or to be broken, something like that. We have seen, for example, the coconut seed. When you want it to be planted, you have to be cut certain point at the top of it so that it will allow the embryo, to allow the radicle and plumule to emerge. Otherwise, it can't germinate. So such kind of tester, it can bring the seed germinate. Okay. Well, availability of the moisture, as we've seen before, that the moisture, water is a condition necessary for germination. So when the seed fail to get moisture, get water, so it cannot germinate. The temperature, it is also a condition which can bring seed viability. Light intensity and storage condition. How do you store the food, the seed? When the seed is stored in the wet condition in such a way they get rotten, it will be a problem. It is stored in the wet where there is too high temperature, also it can kill the embryo. Growth region of the seedling, as this we mentioned before, radicle and the plumule, called the elongation of the seed, and the rate of the growth is measured up to the root and the shoot. How the shoot has developed and the root. Cells to the root and the shoot tips have the high capability to divide. As in fact, there is what called the apical mesenetic tissues. When the apex of the root and the shoot divide very fast, there is ways the growth will also become very quickly. And the growth of the tip of the shoot and the root is known as the primary growth. When the tips of the shoot and the root divide to form the apical growth, that we call the primary growth. And opposite of that is what we call it secondary growth. This is widening of the plant to form the trunk. As for that, when the cambium divide to form the rings, it increases the width of the plant, and that is now accounted for secondary growth. The dividing cells are known as mesenetic cells, as I told you before, and cells make the tissue as apical meristem. And these cells rapidly undergo mitosis, which provides growth, which increases in size and the shoot of the root. Okay, so that is the end of our program or our topic of the growth. From the beginning, where we started, we have seen the mitosis introduction, mitosis, etc. So let us, you guys, take these questions, addition questions that you, on your own time, you will go and pass it through this question. There are 3 questions there. The first question is about to define different terms, growth and intermittent growth. And part B, briefly explain the factors that affect the growth and the development in human. The question number 2, part A, number 1, differentiate between epigene and hypogene germination. And part 2, mention condition necessary for seed germination. B, explain the significance of mitosis in growth. And last but not least, in the tabular form, outline 6 differences between meiosis and mitosis. So these 3 questions will allow you to overpass through all the topic of growth that we have passed through from the starting point to here at the last point. Thank you for your participation, and we shall meet next time for the other topic. Thank you very much.
Enlab Innovation Academy inatangaza nafasi za masomo ya Information Technology kwa ngazi ya certificate na diploma kwa wanafunzi waliomaliza kidato cha 4, kidato cha 6 na chuo NTA Level 3. Chuo kipo Kinondoni Vijana jijini Dar es Salaam. Zaidi ya kusoma, mwanafunzi anapewa nafasi ya kuanzisha mradi wa kiteknolojia pamoja na kupatiwa mentor wa kumwongoza. Pia tunamsaidia mwanafunzi kutafuta scholarships pale anapohitimu. Tupigie leo 0677 071 486 au 0744100231 au tembelea tovuti yetu www.nia.ac.tz.